A shocking revelation has just shaken the K-pop world, leaving ARMY across the globe stunned. For the very first time, Mr. Lee, someone who has long been known as a trusted figure close to Jungkook's team, finally opened up about the terrifying moments when Jungkook's manager received a direct threat. Speaking with a trembling voice, Mr. Lee described the atmosphere as unreal, like stepping into a thriller movie scene. According to him, the manager was right beside Jungkook during a routine schedule when the unexpected threat arrived out of nowhere. We were simply on our way, trying to keep things smooth for Jungkook, when suddenly a message came through. The manager froze, his hand tightening on the phone. I could see his face turn pale, but he forced himself to stay composed because the last thing he wanted was to make Jungkook panic, Mr. Lee revealed. The shocking detail, however, was that the threat wasn't vague. It specifically mentioned the manager by name, making the situation far more personal and alarming. Mr. Lee recalled the silence that followed, the kind that weighs heavily in the air, with everyone unsure of what could happen next. I remember those seconds so clearly. The manager's expression said everything: fear, pressure, and determination, all at once. He carried the burden silently. Protecting Jungkook at any cost, Mr. Lee continued. This confession immediately ignited concern within ARMY worldwide. Fans have since demanded stronger security measures for Jungkook and his team, voicing outrage that such incidents could still happen despite the global superstar's level of fame and protection. With Mr. Lee's account now public, the mystery only deepens. Who was behind the threat? What was their motive? And most importantly, how will this affect Jungkook's safety in the future? One thing is certain: the call for heightened protection has never been louder, and all eyes are now on HYBE and the authorities to ensure nothing like this ever happens again. The revelation sent shockwaves not only through South Korea, but also across the global ARMY community. The incident, which had been wrapped in silence for weeks, suddenly resurfaced when Mr. Lee bravely shared what truly happened behind the scenes. His words painted a vivid picture of fear, loyalty, and the unshakable bond of protection surrounding Jungkook BTS. Mr. Lee described the moment as surreal, a scene no one would expect to unfold during what was supposed to be an ordinary day in Jungkook's busy schedule. The car was moving smoothly, the atmosphere inside calm, when everything shifted in the blink of an eye. It wasn't just a random threat. The sender knew details that only someone very close to our movements could have guessed, Mr. Lee said gravely. The chilling part was that the message directly named the manager, attaching words that made it clear this was not a prank, but something deeply calculated. The story did not end with Mr. Lee's chilling recollection of that fateful moment. In fact, his testimony opened the door to an even deeper look at the hidden dangers surrounding idols like Jungkook, whose every move is watched by millions, yet also targeted by unseen threats. According to Mr. Lee, the moment the threatening message arrived, everything around him seemed to stop. The sound of the car engine faded into the background. The city lights outside blurred, and all he could focus on was the tightening grip of the manager's hand around the phone. The manager did not speak a word, but the silence itself was deafening. The manager looked at me, and in that split second, I understood everything, Mr. Lee recalled. He didn't need to explain. His eyes told me there was danger, real danger. But at the same time, his eyes begged me not to let Jungkook notice. That was his greatest fear, that Jungkook would realize what was happening and feel unsafe. For a global superstar like Jungkook, safety has always been a top priority. Security teams are carefully selected, schedules are tightly guarded, and every public appearance is surrounded by meticulous planning. Yet, as Mr. Lee pointed out, even the most fortified walls can be shaken when threats cut straight to the heart. Behind the smiles that Jungkook often shows his fans, there are countless stories of tense moments that never reach the public. But this particular incident stood out because of its personal nature. The threat did not target Jungkook. Directly, it went after the man who stands between Jungkook and the world, his manager. And in many ways, that made it even more chilling. Imagine carrying the responsibility of someone as loved and admired as Jungkook, Mr. Lee said softly. The manager knows that every decision he makes could change everything. And then, to suddenly be told that his life is in danger, while he is still expected to protect Jungkook without hesitation, it's almost unbearable. The car continued to move that night, but inside, the air was thick with tension. Mr. Lee described how he kept glancing at the rearview mirror, scanning the cars behind them, wondering if one of them could be linked to the threat. Every pedestrian looked suspicious. Every sudden noise amplified the fear. Yet Jungkook remained calm and unaware, lost in his own thoughts, humming a tune under his breath. It was surreal, Mr. Lee confessed. On one side, you had Jungkook, so carefree and innocent in that moment, unaware of the storm brewing. On the other, you had his manager, sitting in silence, carrying a burden that could break most people. And there I was, caught in between, knowing something was very wrong. The moment the car reached its next stop, security quietly intervened. Without alarming Jungkook, they changed the route, increased the number of guards, and made sure the manager was kept close. The team worked in complete synchronization, as though they had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, even though the reality was far more frightening than any drill. When asked about what Jungkook's reaction was once he found out later, Mr. Lee shook his head. He was upset, not because he felt unsafe, but because he hated the idea that the people around him had to suffer on his behalf. That's who Jungkook is. He carries guilt even when he shouldn't. He worried more about the manager than himself. This confession by Mr. Lee has sparked intense discussion within the fandom and beyond. Some fans expressed anger, demanding that authorities track down the source of the threat immediately. Others shared messages of love and support, reminding Jungkook and his team that they are not alone in this fight. The hashtag #ProtectJungkook began trending, with millions of posts flooding timelines across different platforms. But beyond the fandom, the incident also raises important questions about the darker side of fame. What drives someone to target not just the artist, but the people around them? Is it obsession, revenge, or something far more dangerous? Mr. Lee himself admitted that he has his suspicions, but chose not to disclose them publicly, fearing it could compromise ongoing investigations. Still, one thing is certain. The bond between Jungkook, his manager, and Mr. Lee has only grown stronger because of this ordeal. In the face of fear, they chose unity. In the shadow of threats, they chose to protect each other. And in the silence of that terrifying moment, they revealed what true loyalty looks like. People see the glamour, the lights, the stages, Mr. Lee concluded. But behind it, there are battles no one sees. And sometimes those battles are scarier than any stage could ever be. But we fight them because Jungkook deserves to shine without fear. And so, as the world continues to celebrate Jungkook's success, there is now an unshakable reminder: even the brightest stars live under shadows. And it is the people closest to them who stand as shields, often invisible but always essential. The aftermath of Mr. Lee's confession has opened the floodgates of speculation. Who could possibly have the motive and the courage to target Jungkook's manager, knowing that such an act would ripple far beyond the inner circle of BTS? The incident has now become more than just a private scare. It has turned into a mystery that fans, media, and even security experts are trying to piece together. Insiders suggested that the threat bore the marks of careful planning. The details mentioned in the message hinted at knowledge of the team's movements, something not easily accessible to the public. This revelation has sparked debates. Was it an obsessed fan who somehow gathered insider information? Or was it a calculated move by someone with closer access than anyone would like to admit? Mr. Lee did not shy away from admitting his fear. What chilled me the most was the precision.